Hi, welcome back to another one of my cooking videos. Today is Nacho Chipotle. So I like Chipotle, and so it can get kind of expensive, especially if you want it a lot, and it's multiple people in a purchase order. So I decided to learn how to make the chicken bowl myself. So I always get the bowl with the chips. So right now I'm cutting my chicken into chunks so that I can season them and cook them. Now I got my bowl so I can actually add my seasoning into it. So for starters, I got some vegetable oil that I'm gonna add to it. I really wasn't measuring the ingredients, but I was loosely following a recipe that I can put in the description box. So there you go. And then next, so what I did for the Chipotle seasoning for the chicken. I actually looked up what is Chipotle consist of, or like how to achieve that Chipotle taste without having the powder or the peppers to put in it. So when I looked up, it said cayenne pepper and paprika. So I had cayenne pepper and I have paprika too, but I don't have paprika by itself. I have it amidst this seafood magic seasoning I have. So I used a little of that and it worked just the same. So now I'm making an attempt to show my spices. And you see the smaller bottle was the seafood magic. And then I added some garlic powder. Ooh, it's getting smoky. So I use a lot of garlic powder, so I got that big container. But I find it's like really fine. And like really concentrated. And so the next ingredient is oregano, but that's an Italian seasoning I use for when I make meat sauce and spaghetti and meatballs and spaghetti and lasagna. So it has like multiple seasons in it, but it still did the trick because it still have oregano, and a lot of those are like basil and stuff. Those things go well with anything to season it. And so next, I'm just adding some black pepper. And now I'm just getting a spoon and I'm mixing my ingredients. So now I'm putting my chicken in my mixture so I can coat all the little pieces of chunks that I cut into the mixture so it's nicely seasoned and it tastes really good on my bowl. So now the next step calls to grill the chicken, and while I have a grill, is an outdoor grill, a propane grill, so that wouldn't have been practical to put this on, but I have a George Foreman grill. George Foreman grill does the job just the same, and so I lay out all my pieces of chicken on the George Foreman grill so that I can then start to cook it. So now I'm boiling my rice for my bowl. And then I'm also searing or sauteing some corn, so it has like those black brown specks in it, and it's not it kind of gives like a fried taste to it. And then also in the back, in the red pot, I'm boiling some black beans in a can because the uncooked black beans would have taken forever. So I just bought a can of beans, and usually I pour out the juice or whatever the liquid is in the container with it. I guess to help preserve it, it must have salt and stuff in it. I usually pour that out, but this time I wanted to try using that in it as the liquid for it to boil in. So once it was finished, I couldn't tell anyway, but I just put some olive oil in my rice, and I also put some I put some salt and pepper in that rice so the rice can have a little flavor to it, and then also just some salt and pepper on my corn as well, and the same in the back. You know, I've been learning since I've been cooking more that it's those staple seasonings that really bring flavor out. It's like, you know, using that salt, pepper, and then like different herbs and spices and stuff that really brings the flavor out of food. So, you know, I've been learning, you know, my palate and what I enjoy, what I don't enjoy. So now it's time to check on the chicken. While I technically don't need to flip it because it has those grooves on both sides, I move them around just a little bit so they won't stick, because you know things tend to stick once it's finished cooking or it doesn't have any moisture left. So I just was making sure that the chicken didn't get compromised, because that's a big part of the bowl. And I don't know why I keep dropping it into the grease that's draining off of it. And then that's another thing that I've always loved about George Foreman grills, because you can it drains all that grease and fat out of whatever you're preparing. And I've been using it since I was a little girl, but rather my mom been using it. So I've been on George Foreman grills for a very long time. And so here I'm just, making sure that my corn not sticking, because I just put a little oil on the pan. I didn't put too much, so I'm just making sure it's not sticking. And the same goes for my beans in the bag. And just making sure, just seeing the status of my rice, because white rice boils pretty fast, I find, especially compared to brown rice. So, once that heat gets up hot, it doesn't take much longer for that rice to actually end up cooking. Yay, so the chicken is done. So I'm just going to get a container and actually take that off the grill, turn off the grill. And what I actually end up doing behind the cameras is I'm just trying to get in the habit of actually cleaning as I cook. So after I cook, I'm not like left with a bunch of stuff to cook with. It's just a matter of cooking like the pots and stuff. The food is still currently in upon serving and stuff like that. So I threw the juice, I threw the grease and everything out of that tray into the trash. So usually if I have a container, like a bottle that I'm throwing away anyway, I may pour it in there, or sometimes I may just wait till it cool down and I just pour it in the trash. Because if it's not hot, like it's like a sweet spot, like before it solidifies and when it's not like piping hot, and you pour that in the trash, it's fine. It won't, tear through the bag or anything. But I know, like I've learned, I know for sure you're not supposed to pour it down the drain, because that all solidifies and then you have clogged pipes. Who want clogged pipes? And so in this clip, I'm actually going to wrap up my black beans start wrapping up my corn because it will soon get to that sweet spot where it's like a grilled corn kind of thing. So now I'm chopping up some cilantro to add to my white rice. So if you've ever eaten at Chipotle in a white rice, I don't think they have it in a brown rice, but in the white rice they have cilantro. So I have brought some cilantro and I'm just peeling the leaves off and I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna add it to my brown rice, and it should be really good because cilantro, I don't know, some of those spices just have has a distinct and pungent taste and smell. It just sets off the dish. So now I'm adding my cilantro to my pot of rice. I actually turned the rice off and I added the cilantro after the burner was off. And then I'm just gonna mix that in. And then I drained that rice with that cilantro in it and it was all good. So now I'm making my bowl. It's not in a traditional bowl form, but I'm making my bowl. So I'm first laying down my rice and both of my servings for me and my honey. I'm laying down the rice. I know it looked like a lot of rice, but we were very hungry. And I think that day we didn't really eat a whole lot of food anyway. And then it was a reasonable time, so we still had some time to be up and not go to sleep on a full stomach. So now I'm adding my corn, and I'm trying to be as, presentable as possible. But hey, it don't always pan that way, but it tastes delicious. So now I'm adding my black beans. And I just finished the can. I'm like, look, it don't make no sense to saving any little pieces of it. Yes. Oh yeah, and then I'm adding my chicken on there, and it came out really good. It has that grilled taste, and it has like that Chipotle spice taste to it too. It was so good. So now I had some pico de gallo in the refrigerator, which I love pico de gallo. I eat pico de gallo and guacamole in a mix with some chips, and it's so good. So I'm just using the remainder of that because it was on the older end. And then also I'm just adding some guacamole on that. Oh my gosh, guacamole set this thing off so good. The guac is the key. That's why Chipotle be upcharging for that guac, because that guac, it's like they know that it sets it off, and they know people will pay for it. So they upcharge for guac, and yes, the guac sets it off. Now here's our finished product.